Isaac, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Wow, the Muhammad Ali, I shook up the world, right? It's. I mean, there's this ranks up there, meaning the outcome of yesterday's primary ranks up there with Ocasio and Obama, and really, really, really big night for Zohran Mamdani. But look, I want to start, Isaac, and obviously this is your moment to riff because this, no one wants to hear what I gotta say. I want to hear what you have to say, and so do the listeners. But you wrote a piece once upon a time, I think it was '09 and 2010 about DFS and the WFP. I think it was City Hall. It wasn't
hmm
City and State then. And the reason why I mentioned it was obviously the that was sort of the unraveling, I would say, of the WFP, if there is such a thing. And then obviously, former Governor Cuomo, had his issues with them, and he went in and tried to just totally destroy the party. But yesterday was a sort of reemergence and a resurgence for the WFP with Mandani's victory and with some of their, the don't rank Cuomo and the allegiance and the sort of fusion. They got it right, which was sort of the last time around. It was progressives couldn't get it together and coalesce. And apparently last night they figured it out. So it was a sort of, they're back. They're back, the WFP, so to speak. And their number one enemy was former Governor Cuomo. But now it's your turn, Isaac, to sort of weigh in on what happened last night, and your thoughts on what went right for Zoran, what he did right, and what Team Cuomo failed to do. In addition to some of the other color, like Comptroller Brad Lander, could arguably be the sort of what was the best supporting actor, so to speak. But I'll let you lean in there.
Yeah, I think that the 2009 stories that you're referencing were about the Working Families Party trying to expand quite rapidly and what they were doing and the power they were trying to build up and had started a company, a corporation that was helping candidates with campaign services and paying for campaign managers and things like that. And they stories that I wrote, the subsequent investigations. There was a court case. We don't need to get into all that, but it did lead to a weakening of the Working Families Party, I think, in how it all played out. But it, there were other things going on too. I don't know that you can see Mamdani's win as much a resurgence for the Working Families Party as a instead I would say it's a evolution in what a lot of those same voters are doing. When Mamdani's campaign manager on Tuesday night came out to speak and to introduce the various speakers, ending with Mamdani, the first group that she called out was not the Working Families Party, it was the Democratic Socialists of America. And the chants in the room were DSA, DSA. Now, I think a lot of the people who would have been chanting that last night or supporting the DSA would have likely been in the Working Families Party coalition more in 2009. There's obviously a lot of overlap still between them, and the Working Families Party directors were both at the party quite happy about supporting Mamdani, and they'll continue to. And it seems like we'll almost certainly be giving him their ballot line going into November. But again, this is a lot has happened in New York City, in the country, in the world, in politics, uh, in the 16 years since those stories happened. And Mamdani, of course, wasn't even anywhere near politics when that was going on. What he represents is a pretty 2025 version of where New York City Democrats are. And I think also importantly, a re- he represents a reaction and a rejection of Andrew Cuomo, both Cuomo who he is personally and the dislike that people had for him and for a lot of what he did in office among the left of the party, and for just he became a metaphor for the Democratic Party as it was, that Mamdani was very ably uh, running against by saying he represented change. It's really easy to get people to wrap their head around you representing change when your opponent is a 67-year-old former three-term governor who had to resign in disgrace. It's not to say that Mamdani didn't work hard at it, but it made for a real crystallization in people's minds that worked for him.
Talk about the Cuomo campaign and some of their missteps based on your analysis.
I don't think anybody could argue that this was a good campaign or a well-run campaign, even before the final couple of days. But I will tell you, on Tuesday morning, Cuomo went to vote, and his campaign uh, told reporters that was happening just a few minutes before he actually did show up to vote. He answered a few questions on the way out, including saying that he did not rank anybody other than himself rather, and just put himself and walked out. And then a few minutes later, I was on the phone with somebody in Cuomo's campaign asking what else he would be doing over the course of Tuesday, the final day to get votes. And the person said to me that they didn't know where he was at that point. That ended up being pretty representative of the kind of campaign Cuomo ran. He was very scared throughout, clearly, of doing interviews because he did not want to answer questions about the various scandals and issues that he had. He did not do many events because he didn't want to get protested. And he did not do much over the course of the campaign to change or at least mitigate the very negative feelings that a lot of voters had about him, wherever they were on the political spectrum. Uh, and that meant that it's really hard to run for office when a lot of people hate you. And that's where Cuomo was. And again, he didn't really try to do anything about it. And I think even that last moment of him on the campaign trail of saying he didn't rank anybody else was reflective of a campaign that wasn't understanding even the mechanics of what this race was going to be, which were obviously going to be dependent, at least in part, on ranked choice voting. And Cuomo did not run a ranked choice strategy at all. He did not reach out to other people in a way that would, other candidates in a way that would have maybe led to some softer feelings and possibly a cross endorsement. He didn't even rank Whitney Tilson and Jessica Ramos, Ramos who dropped out of the race and supported him, and Tilson who told people in the second debate that he would be ranking Cuomo second himself.
Who were we got the memo that the DSA was arguably the biggest winner. Who were some of the other winners yesterday? All right, name three separate of the DSA, and then name three losers.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think, gets a lot of credit from people as being the one to, when she did finally step in, and there was a lot of push for her to step in earlier, but step in and step in hard for Mamdani to really galvanize the coalition of progressives toward him. And you see that even in Brad Lander, as the comptroller, was running a hard race for a long time. He's got a lot of deep connections in the city, but he is so far behind Mamdani in at least what we're seeing of the initial vote count. And it is because when Ocasio-Cortez started moving people toward Mamdani, that was just it. He became the alternative to Cuomo, and that was what was going to be necessary to stop Cuomo from being the nominee. I think Lander himself will, if he wants to, uh, likely have some role in a Mamdani administration should Mamdani end up winning the general election. And the way that he built up the connections between his campaign and Mamdani's, the cross endorsements, but also just speaking up on his behalf in a lot of ways, was really important for Mamdani. And if he doesn't want to roll in Mamdani's administration, should there be one, he probably has a continuing role in Democratic politicians figuring out what this new and evolving progressive and Democratic coalition is. And the third one I would say would be Tish James, who was from the start trying to figure out everything she could to keep Cuomo from coming back. And she tried to recruit a bunch of candidates, did not have as much success as she wanted. There had been efforts to recruit Adrian Adams in the fall of last year. Those didn't work. Then James got Adams into the race this year, just at the last minute, essentially. But James, even as the Adrian Adams campaign was clearly not achieving liftoff velocity, she was moving to get the her parts of the coalition that respond to her to stay focused on being anti-Cuomo. And in the last couple of days, recorded a robocall for Brad Lander's campaign, was moving everything she could to make sure that people were not ranking Cuomo. And then, of course, showed up at Mamdani's party with a really enthusiastic response to his win and call to action for November. Look, Tish James, given the role she played and how this all went down, she probably could have been the Democratic nominee for mayor herself, but decided that's not what she wanted. It does mean that she really does seem to be the power player in New York politics right now, especially given that other people who you might think of as filling that role, whether it's Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand or Hakeem Jeffries, they sat out the race while she did not. You asked about losers other than Andrew Cuomo himself. I think you look at a rejection of people like Mike Bloomberg here, who came in not just with his endorsement, but with millions of dollars. And I don't imagine that we are going to see a lot of appetite for the Bloomberg mayoral school that he sort of informally runs for people, and was doing for Eric Adams 4 years ago. It, if Mamdani continues here to run strong into November and past that, there are all of those backers of the pro Cuomo super PAC also seem like they're going to not be in great shape either in having conversations with the Mamdani campaign and perhaps administration, or some of them saying that they might want to leave New York if he won. We'll see. That people make comments like that all the time. We'll see if anybody holds to that. And then I think that there are going to be, without naming specific names, there are going to be a lot of national Democrats who are going to be having a lot of tough conversations about what this means for them and how it all processes through. If you'd ask people in the immediate aftermath of the 2024 election what they wanted, if you'd ask Democrats and Democratic leaders, I should say, what they wanted the future of their party to be and what they thought it needed to be in response to Trump's second win, very few of them would have said it looks like Zohran Mamdani. But now they're going to need to grapple with what that means that he won, and whatever Donald Trump does to try to caricature Mamdani and to butt heads with him during the campaign and perhaps next year if Mamdani is the mayor.
Let's move on to November, Isaac, because I want to hold to the time we committed to talking, because this is a big day for you as a journalist and for everyone, right? Post mortem. So I want to keep it moving. What does this mean in November? I heard a reporter say that this was a big day for Eric Adams. That now these, the real estate, the finance and all these people that are afraid of the world of socialism or the DSA are now going to coalesce around Eric Adams and throw money his way potentially. But at the same time, once you get the nomination, there's also a lot of support that comes your way. So, what are your thoughts on November? Do you think Cuomo is out altogether? And how do you see it unfolding in November?
Well, let's start with Cuomo. I think it will be hard for him to stay in on his independent line. It's possible, we'll have to see, but it's not just that he lost by as much as he lost by, or that he was running this very lackluster campaign that his heart didn't seem in, at least in the last couple of days. But it's that since the results came in, some of his supporters who were very anti-Mamdani have now said they are going to be there with the Democratic nominee, and that is Mamdani. And if they're not there for Cuomo, how we put together the coalition will get hard, to say the least. As for Eric Adams, look, this is in part why he stepped out of the Democratic Party, because he now has a path through to November, where he's not a lame duck, at least. And this would have been the kind of situation he was hoping for, in that he can try to run against what the Democratic Party has become. He keeps saying that he didn't leave the Democratic Party left him, those sorts of things. He will try to be that non socialist, centrist, whatever he wants to call it, common sense, all those things that he has been talking about since he was first running in 2021. He's of course a pretty flawed messenger in making that case, because of all of his issues with the charges against him, even though they have been dropped now, but also because of the dysfunction around his mayoralty that was what led to a big race against him taking shape in the first place. But who knows? I think we learn once again from these results, as we have learned over and over again in the last decade, that politics is not as predictable as some people want it to be.
All right, Isaac. I know we have to move on, and I want to keep my word in terms of time. Anything you want to add to the conversation that I forgot to ask you that you want to mention before we wrap?
Look, I think that there is a reason why, even though I am a born and bred New Yorker who started out covering New York politics and still loves it myself, was here covering this race as now a national political reporter. This race matters. It will have resonance and reverberations for days and weeks and months to come. And it will be something that a lot of Democrats are going to be trying to unpack for what it means, and a lot of Republicans too. And so I would encourage people to just think about this as a continuing developing situation where we don't know how any of it's going to go, but it certainly means that there are that the interesting part for me as a reporter, and the interesting part I think for voters and consumers of any of this stuff, is that we are seeing a lot of political change and history play out really in front of our eyes, in just about every race and every way these days in American politics.
Thank you so much, Isaac, for taking the time to do this, and it's great to catch up with you. 15 years later, right? Is it 15
Yeah,
years? So,
I guess so.
congratulations on all of your success, and hopefully this won't be the last time we talk. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Isaac.
You too.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye bye.